Hi, nobody's. Okay, so I'm having a good day, but I feel like crap right now. Um, Sorry, I was looking at my bread. Uh, I am such a weirdo. Okay, so like, and my bread. So what I do is okay. Let me explain. I've been up since 5:30, and it is now almost 3 o'clock, and I have forgotten to eat until it was time to do dishes. Then I got up, and I was like, oh no, I don't feel good. Lightheaded as fuck, right? So at that point where nothing looks good, like everything just seems like ugh, everything except bread. And I'm a weirdo now. I showed you the bread. This is the bread now after I squish it up and then I eat it. I don't know why I do it like that. When I was a kid, I would fold it. Like I would take the crust off and I would fold the white part. I mean, I'd eat the crust first, but I'd fold up the white part into fours and then let it sit on the roof of my mouth. Just one of those things. I don't certain medications will get me like this, and when I get shaky like that, it causes some anxiety. So I took a quarter of a pill because I haven't had a pill today, and I'm just kind of edgy. I didn't know how long I'd be able to stand there and do the dishes. I wasn't afraid I was gonna faint. I was just like really shaky and thinking, I need to go sit. I need to eat. I need to do something. Um, I'll just get caught up in something and I'll just forget that I need to eat. And I'll get hungry. And with BPD, a lot of times you just feel numb. So, like, I'm not a cutter. I am a piercer, though. But I'm not a cutter. And so, like, feeling hunger is kind of my self harm. It's a feeling. It's like you feel it. And it goes away. And once it goes away, you just kind of forget if you're in the middle of stuff. You know, if I'm doing research or whatever, or working on a project, or watching a show, you know, like binge watching something. Um, Once that hunger pain goes away, I'll forget that I haven't eaten. I know that probably sounds strange to a lot of people. Now, I will take this any day over some of the meds I've taken that make me want to eat everything. I mean, I kid you not, before I grabbed up some bread, I put a chip in my mouth, some Lay's Supreme Pizza. Yuck. I had to spit it out. I couldn't even swallow it. So then I was like, okay, I'll have one of these cinnamon raisin bagels. Took it out. Was about to walk to my room with it. And I was like, nope, not going to be able to do it. So I was like, okay, bread. Bread always works. It's like, doesn't fill me up really, but it gets me on the road to where I can eat something with more substance. I mean, actually, what I was thinking of when I was in the kitchen was I'd really like a plum or a nectarine. Not an apple, not an orange, a plum or a nectarine or a plum cot. Now, I've already had one piece of bread. That's why I'm able to talk. And I'm waiting for that Xanax to kick in, and I made tea, which I had to do dishes to make tea. And now I'm just waiting on that Xanax to kick in, too. As it stands, I do not think I will be going outside to meet the kids at the bus. I'll have to send uh, my 14-year-old to watch for them. I mean, they're pretty good. They just have to walk across a yard to get to my yard, but and you know the Cymbalta does this to me, it seems, or allows me to do this, and sertraline. Now, some of the drugs I've taken, like when I was on a really high dose of Elavil, I wanted cake like crazy. I mean, when I worked for Walgreens in the pharmacy, while I was on Elavil, I always had a pocket of candy. And, that was when I was in the photo lab and in the pharmacy. I had a pocket full of candy. And everybody knew it. Because I'd wait till nobody was looking. I'd wait till there were no customers around and just pop them, you know? And I got on a weight loss plan and I said, okay, no more chocolate. Now, with the Elavil, the sugar cravings are like, I'm serious, they are bad. And I was on a really high dose. So instead of having candy bars and Reese's Pieces and all that I wanted, I was like, okay, I'm going to go for fat-free candy. Not sugar-free, fat-free. So I knocked down to that. Knocked down to diet drinks instead of high-calorie drinks. Which the easiest way to transition, I found, Diet Mountain Dew. Since they use orange juice concentrate, it doesn't have the really, really, like when you first drink diet sodas, there's this taste to them that's this aftertaste that's really bad. The Diet Mountain Dew isn't as bad. Like, I think my husband's drunk it before on accident and didn't even realize that he was drinking a diet drink. So, and then I started exercising, lost all that weight, broke my arm. And see, I broke my arm because I had switched medications. And the medication that I got, it was either the wrong medication I think it was the wrong medication for me. But I also think that it was too low of a dose because I ended up breaking my arm because I was running around. I was all hyper and shit. And got my foot stuck in a rug that I had avoided all day long. And as I was going down, my hand got caught in a drawer and I broke my arm. Well, while I was recuperating from that break, I didn't notice at first that I was getting like a case of narcolepsy. I thought it was the oxy that I was prescribed. I was like, oh, I'm just passing out in the middle of the day because I'm taking an oxy. And hold on. So I may lack boundaries, but I know better than to have food in my mouth and have you see it actually being chewed up. God, excuse me. Hurry up and chew, man. So it wasn't until after I had arm surgery and started cutting back on the oxy that I realized I was just knocking out. It was that medicine. See, I mean, this is why I tell anybody who starts medication for an antidepressant, if you are, consider yourself blessed as fuck if the first thing they give you works. Seriously. Because most of the time, what you get, you tell them your symptoms, like they'll say, hey, how's the medication working? And you tell them what's going on, like what you're noticing. If you're not noticing any change, a lot of times they just raise the dose. Or if you say, oh, I'm hyper, they just raise the dose. And some of the really fun ones take a while to do something. Buspar didn't take too long to mess me up. But I thought it was the Paxil. I thought, Paxil's doing this. Buspar, I think I was taking the Buspar for less than a week before I had a dystonic reaction, which is where your muscles lock up. Well, they lock up, but like somebody else can move it. Like you can't move it. Like if your jaw's all jacked that way, you can't move it. Like you cannot make it go back into place, but like somebody can touch you and move it. It's a weird ass thing. I slept so long and I almost died. Um, I have found through many medication changes that antipsychotics and me do not agree with each other. They cause muscle cramps, really, really bad muscle cramps, restless legs, just all kinds of stuff. I mean, this stuff that Big Pharma gives you, you're looking at problems. But I can tell you this, if you have an issue with your medication, like say you can't perform in the bedroom, get on a different medication. Don't just accept that because there's lots of drugs. I mean, you take like, I think Lexapro's got a really big uh, rep for erectile dysfunction and stuff like that. But it doesn't do that to everybody. Some people will be hypersexed, while others will have decreased. It all affects everybody differently. So if it's not working for you, if something isn't functioning the way you want it to, and it's a big deal, get on something else. Um, I normally don't quit a medication over, oh, you got excess gas with that. I'll deal with it. It's not a deal breaker. Nausea, deal breaker. Um, Losing my obsessions, as lovely as that sounded when I used to think about it, living without something to put my mind to, living an existence of not really being interested in anything was not good. That was what Effexor did to me. I lost my obsessions. So I was like walking around going, what do I do? What do I do? And I wasn't really bored, but I was lost. It's like, I have nothing to obsess over. What do I do? The like Seroquel, I loved how I slept on Seroquel. Seroquel was awesome for sleep. But if I didn't move my leg, pain would just build until I moved my leg. And this was all day long. I said, no, I can't live with that. So, I mean, you're not going to find a perfect medication ever. There's going to be side effects. You just have to figure out what you can live with. You have to settle. I don't know anybody who takes medication that is 100% satisfied with it. There's always drawbacks. There's always those side effects that you're like, well, dang, I have to counter that. Or whatever. Like if you take Xanax every day, you have to drink a lot of water or take laxatives to go poop. Same with pain pills. You're going to have trouble in that department. Elavil. Oh, that was fun. Elavil was when I come to the bathroom. I wouldn't poop for well over a week. And then when I did, it was like I had IBS. It was bad. It was bad. But I lived with that because I was like, hey, that only happens like once every 10 days. I can live with 1 day out of 10 days. It would just suck when I'd be at work and it would act up and I'd say, oh no, not right now. Because that wasn't just like a 5-minute bathroom trip. That was like a good 45 minutes in there going, am I done yet? Am I done yet? And of course, me being as outspoken as I am, I wouldn't say this to strangers or coworkers, but family would get, I just made some stew, or I just had soup, to describe things. Basically, that was me saying, I don't feel good. I just made soup in there. It's horrible. But you don't have to put up with the stuff that really bothers you. If you're single and you're not trying to be in a relationship, then not being able to perform may not bother you. Some of these medications make it to where you cannot ejaculate. You know, you can go all night long, no ejaculation. Um, and you don't have to settle for that. And I mean, the plain and simple, you just call them up and you say, hey, I need to see my doctor, or he needs to prescribe me something different because this is doing this and I don't like it. And I tell people also that I know, do not let them push you on two medications at the same time. Because when you go on two medications at the same time, you don't know what's causing what. See, I took Celexa one time for a while, and I literally wanted to scrape my skin off. I was itching so bad. It's called pruritus. I mean, I had marks all over me where I had scratched my skin. You know, it was uncontrollable. And, you know, I was slathering on Benadryl cream, taking Benadryl. You know, I was just like, I was miserable. Fast forward to like 3 or 4 years ago, the doc wanted to put me on something for cholesterol and metformin. I think it was for cholesterol and metformin. Well, I was on metformin and I was on something else. I'm normally better at remembering. But I was on that and I started getting a severe case of the itchies. Well, I had no clue which drug did. Neither one of them listed that as a side effect. But I know it was one of them. So I had to stop taking both of them. I was like, screw it. I'm not taking either one. So it's good to know which one. And I would say that in most cases, and bear in mind, I am not a medical professional. I am just a crazy person who has taken a lot of drugs. Start with the antidepressant. Because if you're bipolar, it does help. I mean, it won't stop like the mood swings really too much, but it'll at least elevate the lows some. Because I mean, it does help. And if you know, like a month in, it takes a good month before you really start seeing, before, you know, I mean, tops 2 months before you have a bad side effect. But most of the time, a month in, you know whether or not it's going to cause problems for you. I mean, it may not work correctly, it may not do everything you want it to do, you might have to raise the dosage, blah, blah, blah. But you know whether you're going to have a bad reaction to it. The antipsychotics, though, I've noticed that they take a while. I mean, a month in, you're seeing good improvement. Like with all of the antipsychotics I've taken, I didn't have the bad side effect until the middle, like until like a month and a half had gone by. With Topamax, I freaking passed out. I don't know if I had an anxiety attack that was so freaking bad I full on passed out, or if I had a seizure. I don't know. Nobody saw me. I just know that I went to the kitchen to get a Xanax because I was seriously not feeling right. And the next thing I knew, I was being rolled over on the floor. My face was covered in cold sweat. I damn near broke my jaw, dang near broke my nose, knocked the shit out of my head. I mean, I had like a black bruise right there. I still don't know what happened, but I quit taking that drug and I ain't had anything like that happen since. And you know what was really funny is I could have sworn up and down I took that Xanax. And when I went to the hospital, I thought I had a Xanax and I was like, well, why am I having a panic attack? And then I looked at my Xanax and said, I didn't take that pill, but I remember tasting it on my tongue. So, yeah, these drugs, they ain't, if they're going to fuck up, they can fuck up bad. So you have to be careful. And it's always good to just do it one at a time. Even if your doctor's like, well, I want to put you on this and this, just, I'm serious, people. You really ought to say, well, how about I see how the antidepressant does first, or the antipsychotic first. Either one, but I think that the antidepressant is probably the best to start off with because it's going to do some, uh, it'll do some stuff for you. You'll just still have mood swings. And I mean, hell, if you've been suffering with them for a while, what's another month? Unless you're suicidal. And I mean, there's really nothing you can do if you're in the hospital, like if you're in the psych ward and they just give you that stuff. But if given a choice, because they do have, every single one of them has side effects, and you have to know what's causing what so you can know what to change. Because even weed isn't the perfect drug. It doesn't work for everybody. You have to look into different. Well, I mean, I think that marijuana will work for everybody, but different strains would work for different conditions. And then there would be like the different ways of using it that would work better for some people than others. But it isn't a cure-all. It's not a panacea. So, I'm feeling better. And we'll talk, help me. I hope you're having a good day. Because aside from this episode, I'm actually having a good day. I actually feel okay. Like as far as emotions go. So, I'm having a good day. Hope you're having a good day. Have a good night.